an overhauled farming system, truly amazing muscle strain mechanics, a huge map expansion with an endless procedural wilderness to explore, and the long-awaited addition of sex basements. But the feature that I'm most hyped about is the addition of blacksmithing. Okay. So today we're going to scour all of rural Kentucky for the right skill books, materials, and of course the perfect base location to actually become a master blacksmith. We wake up in the new starting location, Echo Creek, as John Switzer, and he has a skill set built for this challenge, and only one thing on his mind: the sword. Our house didn't really have much to scavenge, apart from your sister's Pride Pink hoodie, some sheets we repurposed into a makeshift sling bag, a screwdriver, and most importantly, John's favorite pillow, Kevin. Please don't ask. Our first goal is to be looting all of Echo Creek, so we'd be ready for what's to come. We stepped outside and appeared to be at the southern edge of town, and we headed north towards the town center. We passed the church, and this is where we spotted the first undead. I tried to sneak by unnoticed, but yeah, a good time to test our screwdriving skills. Even though I did have my health tab open, I somehow didn't notice that I was stomping in zombie heads while only wearing socks. Turns out that broken skulls and bare feet don't really mix. However, this didn't stop me from finding my first basement. And look at this man cave. Pretty as it was, it didn't really have much in terms of loot. Upstairs we did manage to find some food, a fillet knife, a bottle opener and a claw hammer. Sweet. And this was the moment that I realized I should probably pick the skull splinters out of my foot. By the way, who could have guessed that a claw hammer would be so amazing for bashing in zombie skulls? In the next house we picked up a plastic bottle, which was gonna be crucial for our survival. This place also had a good amount of food, and it was in a relatively quiet area. This was going to be an amazing base while we stay in Echo Creek. Back outside, I still used my almost bare feet to crack zombie skulls. And after also getting splinters in my right foot, I finally decided to just take some of the zombie shoes. Look, that's better. Sorry, John. With my feet taken care of, I continued clearing the zombies out of the area, until I spotted an actual survivor house. These are special buildings that can have amazing loot, and the zombies that spawn there might be carrying some serious gear. I had to be careful though, because there was a pretty big group lurking around. Slowly but surely I pulled them one by one and kept clapping them until I met my new nemesis of this update. Muscle strain.
It's awful.
Anyway, even with the muscle strain, I still managed to take down 2 policeman zombies, and one of them had a baton. Sweet. Since it was already getting late, I headed back to the house and made sure all the windows were covered with sheets, and I treated myself on some freshly baked oven fries and went to bed. For some reason John woke up at 3 AM. I definitely wasn't going to go outside in the dark, so I spent my time working out, reading and watching a cooking show. Which, by the way, leveled my cooking to level 1. It's even higher than in real life. Once daylight hit, I headed back to the survivor house. Finished off the last zombies and looted the place. Which honestly was kinda disappointing. I did however spot 2 prisoner zombies outside, both with duffel bags. A huge upgrade from the shitty sling bag I was using. Duffel bag crew, let's go. I kept looting places until my bag was full, and then made my way back to base to stash the loot and food. And let me tell you, it was starting to be a really nice stack. I made sure to stay in the base to catch the carpentry show at 12. Those free carpentry levels were gonna come in handy. I headed closer to the city center when I spotted the first few vehicles. The first 2 were kinda meh, but the third one had its doors unlocked. And what luck. The car key was sitting right there in the glove box. I tried to start it, hoping there was still some fuel in it. And there was. My lord, luck was on my side. I wonder when I'm gonna have to cash in all this luck. I completely refueled the truck at the gas station on the other side of the street, and I looted the gas station for some loot and tools. I loaded everything in the truck and went back to base to drop it off. The car was going to be a huge step for me in becoming a master blacksmith. Since to level up skills faster in Zomboid, you can read skill books beforehand. Plan was to get a lot of skill books from the school in Rosewood, and this car was gonna help a ton. Once we have those skill books, we'll be ready. Anyway, the next day it was raining pipe stems, but this didn't stop me from going back to the park. And what do I find? A freaking generator next to the burger stand. I loaded the bad boy into the truck and looted the rest of the area. Then seemingly out of nowhere a whole bunch of zombies showed up. I was in trouble. I found a pickaxe in a construction vehicle, but it was so damn heavy that after swinging it just a few times, the muscle strain nearly killed me. I decided to switch things up and use my new favorite weapon instead. With the zombies out of the way, I was able to loot the nearby storage depot for more smithing equipment and smeltables. I even found a working taxi cab. Tried to tow it behind my truck because I was curious if I could take it with me. Turns out I couldn't, and it almost killed me again. So I untied it and used the taxi to turn the Zeds into roadkill, which was great fun. I spent the next 2 days looting Echo Creek's trailer park and the car repair shop for more forging goodies. And then John felt it. We had tons of food, smeltables, a great car, a great weapon. Time to head to Rosewood, the next step in our quest to the pinnacle of 1990s blacksmithing, the almighty sword. John spent the rest of the day getting all of his stuff packed into his truck, which actually took multiple in-game hours. Let's not forget Kevin. Rosewood, here we come. It was a pretty long ride, but doable. On our way there we had to dodge some groups of zombies, and I stopped at every mailbox to check it, hoping to find the how to use generator skill book. Because after a week or two in Project Zomboid the electricity shuts down, so we need the generator to power our stuff up, but you also have to learn how to use it. We approached Rosewood from the south, since it was pretty close to the school where I wanted to get the skill books. I thought the construction yard just out of town would be a great, nice, quiet place to settle down for now. After clearing out all the zombies, I decided to settle in the cabin in the back, because it had everything. A TV, a bedroom, a microwave. What more can you wish for? After getting jump scared by a random car alarm going off, I went to sleep. I woke up and I put all of the stuff that I had in my car in the cabinets. Everything was nicely organized now. Food in the cabinet, all my smithing gear above the microwave. Nothing can go wrong here. And since it was day 6, day that the helicopter can spawn, I didn't want to get caught butt naked inside of the school or something, so I decided to just loot some nearby houses. And the moment I set foot inside, hello helicopter event. There are basically 2 ways to deal with this. The first option is wait it out inside a house, but I don't really trust that, so I went with the second option. Just keep driving anywhere that you don't mind having zombies follow you. Sadly, the event can take up to a whole day of just driving in circles. Honestly, it's better than having hundreds of Zeds on your doorstep, so that's exactly what I did. I just drove around, and around, and around. And you know what? It was actually kinda relaxing. Luckily it only lasted till about 4 PM the same day, and I ended up at a local military barracks, which I of course looted. And I also raided some houses in the forest. After which I stumbled upon this gigantic farming depot. It was mostly seeds and plant remains, but there was also a shed full of smeltables, tools and a friggin' crowbar. Satisfied with the loot, I came back home. Put all of my smithing supplies in the cabinet above the microwave and took a well-deserved nap. The next morning, John was freaking hungry. I decided to prepare myself a nice stir fry in the frying pan we just looted. You know, just a pasta stir fry, made from macaroni, peanut butter and a pinch of salt. My favorite. And what better way to cook a meal in a cast iron frying pan than in the microwave? Wait, what's the sizzling noise? And why did the microwave stop?
It was at this moment that he knew. He fucked up.
Oh no. Fuck. I knew Zomboid was realistic, but this realistic? I had just single-handedly destroyed all of my precious smithing supplies. All that loot? Gone. All the effort? Gone. God, why am I such a freaking moron? Okay, just forget about that and let's continue to do what we came to Rosewood for. To live self-sufficiently in the blacksmith refuge, we need a ton of different skills at higher levels. And since build 42, we can now also unlock a lot of craftables whenever we reach the required level. By reading the appropriate skill books, we can multiply the rate at which we increase that said level. And what's a better place than farm skill books than a school, right? But as you could guess, The school was kinda crowded with schoolboy zombies. There was no way I could possibly take on this many of them. I went over there with my truck and started honking, which drew the attention of every nearby zombie as fast as I now draw your attention to the like and subscribe buttons. Anyway, I keep driving and keep the speed just right. Slow enough to keep their attention and fast enough to not get swarmed and ripped apart. I kept circling the zombies around, and after a few turns the school was finally cleared out enough that I felt confident in handling any stragglers with my crowbar. Inside I started looting the lockers. A lot of random junk, but no skill books, until I found the jackpot. The library, absolutely stuffed with skill books. Why do they teach expert level foraging to elementary kids? I stuffed my duffel bag with as many books as I could and hauled them back home. Unfortunately, we didn't find any high level metalworking books, but the other skill books were nice to have nevertheless. Even though I didn't have a lot of smithing supplies left from the whole microwave incident, I felt ready to finally head to the blacksmith hideaway. Hopefully we'd find some more supplies on the way there, especially the metalworking skill books. However, my truck wasn't looking too hot. After all the zombie bashing, it had taken a pretty good beating. The trunk capacity was gone from 100 to 20, basically turning it into a glorified battering ram. So I needed a new car. Luckily, just outside of the school I spotted a van. And it was my lucky day. After checking a zombie I clapped earlier, I found the keys. The red van was still better, but beggars can't be choosers, right? I siphoned some gas from my dying truck and got the new baby back to base. Just look at her. Beautiful. Alright, time to head out. Time to go to the blacksmith hideaway. Let's go, Kevin! It was a pretty long ride there. I used the Build 42 interactive map to guide me. And if you consider that cheating, f*** you. The fastest way to get there was a mix of roads and a shortcut through the forest cleared for power lines. Now, I'm not a complete idiot, or so I like to tell myself. I knew the place would probably be crawling with zombies, so I decided to set up base just in a nearby house, to take my time and clear everything out safely. I spent some time getting settled, making sure everything was prepped. And at the crack of dawn the next day, it was go time. The normal way to the hideaway is far too long through all that forest. So I tried a shortcut from the back of the property and went straight through the forest behind it. And it wasn't long before I saw the first signs of the blacksmith hideaway. Time to test out the fireman's axe that I just found. I didn't really look at my muscle strain. Oh, fuck. Meet Son Switzer, John's son. He also lived in Echo Creek. And like any good survivor, he looted his own house, ready to find his father. But since the power was now shut off, he somehow managed to get lost in his own house and died of hunger and thirst. Bruh. But wait, apparently his brother, second son Switzer, also lived in the same house. And guess what? He just found his brother's corpse rotting away in the basement. What a tragedy. Alright, no time to dwell on any family drama. Let's avenge father. So after that debacle we were back to where we were. Apart from now missing all the skills from John. With what just happened still fresh on my mind, I decided to use a tried and tested method to dispatch the zombies. Oh hey Dad.
I know, Dr. Edwards, that I killed my father.
It did cost us a father and a brother, but we do own the blacksmith hideaway now. Just look at the place. It has a whole house, anvil, a charcoal mount, a small forge, a quenching well, a fresh water well, a grindstone and a high-tier forge. It sounds more like a blacksmith's dream come true than it actually was, to be honest. Because most of the stuff in there, well, it's cosmetic. The furnace, the grindstone and the advanced forge were like the only usable ones. Before we could get into the blacksmithing itself, we first needed to get some basic needs out of the way. Food. Drove back to the temporary base, picked up the animal trailer nearby and went to grab the chickens. I released them one by one in the blacksmith hideaway, hoping they'd provide me with enough eggs to keep me alive. I explored around the base a bit, dragged some dead zombies out of my working area and I was ready for blacksmithing. Well, Now what? I mean, I had no idea how this whole blacksmithing system worked in Zomboid. Fiddled around a bit with the menus, and after a few minutes of scrolling I realized that the first thing I had to craft was a heading tool, which is required to craft actual tongs. But the actual smithing will have to wait. I needed to get the iron smelting operation ready first. For this I'd need a crucible to smelt the steel in. Only way to make that is with a pottery wheel. So I chopped down some trees on my new property and sawed them into planks to make the pottery wheel. Then I found out that I needed clay and sand to craft a ceramic crucible. And on top of that, my pottery skill was too low to even make the damn thing. Well, you know what they say. Just dig it. And so I dug. And I dug. And I dug some more, till I had enough clay and sand. Now that I had what I needed, I went back to the pottery wheel. And thanks to the skill book that I read earlier, I was able to sculpt some bowls to level myself up. And when I reached level 1 in pottery, I was able to make the ceramic crucible. And it turns out that I actually need to bake it off in a kiln, which requires another 20 clay. Back to digging it is. After placing the kiln, I got to chopping wood and making some charcoal. And finally I was able to craft a freaking crucible. With that out of the way, I crafted the heading tool, which then allowed me to craft the tongs from some iron bars. I could finally feel the progress now. Things were looking up. Time to get the metalworking skill books and level metalworking up to level 9. At least, that's what I thought. I read somewhere online that high-level skill books are usually found near workplaces that use those skills. So I figured that the Muldra rail yard was my best bet. I drove over full of hope and started looting the place. And I checked everywhere. Boxes, shelves, everywhere. And guess what? No metalworking books. I decided to then try my luck at the steel workshop in the southern parts of Muldra. I used a honking and luring strategy to clear the zombies out. After driving a few circles, I found a new car in a better shape than mine. So I grabbed it. I don't think they're gonna miss it. Anyway, after clearing the stragglers in the workshop, I finally got inside. Only to find no skill books at all. Not a single one in the entire place. All that time, all those days spent searching for nothing. I have to admit, at this point I've been recording for about 30 to 40 hours. But finding the skill books was really devastating. I grabbed what I could from the steel workshop, which wasn't much, and made my way back home. The way there I stopped at the crossroads to do a little more salvaging, and dismantled some iron clothing racks and a few cars. At this point I figured I might as well buckle down and level up blacksmithing the slow way. Once I got back to base, I moved the shelving unit from the fishing shack closer to the workplace, just to make unloading the smeltables from the car a bit quicker. Efficiency, baby. Next up, some more charcoal making, and finally the smelting could begin. This was the moment we've all been waiting for. I had a ton of smeltables saved up, and after getting them into the furnace I was left with a nice pile of iron chunks. Smelting itself didn't give any experience, but forging? Hell yeah. I took the fresh iron chunks to the forge. I crafted some scythe heads and some hammer heads, and it turned out that the hammer heads give a lot more XP than the scythe did per chunk used, so I just kept making hammer heads. Then back to the furnace to smelt them all back down. We did only get back half of the materials used, sadly, but we could just keep doing this. And honestly, the leveling was way faster than I thought it would be. Even without the skill books, the ability to melt the forged items back into chunks kept it pretty efficient. We did eventually run out though, and that was the moment when it hit me. The next 10 hours of my life were going to be repetitive. Get iron smeltables from looting all kinds of places, drag them back home, smelt them into chunks, forge those into items for XP, then smelt those back into chunks, chop wood, rinse and repeat. Over and over and over. And all of this just to reach level 9 so I could finally craft a damn sword. After hours and hours of grinding and so much smelting, finally hit level 9. I now grabbed a steel bar from the shelf and was able to forge it into a real sword. I even made a nice handle for it. Look at it. All made by myself. Father would be proud. Anyway, time to test it out. Oh my god, the sword was pretty mid. I mean, it always kills the zombie in less than 4 hits, but so did the fireman's axes. I guess the real question is, was it worth all the grinding? Meh. But we do have a sword now to impress our friends. Anyway, back to the hideaway and forge till the end of days, together with our best friend. If you made it this far into the video, you're the true MVP. Thanks for watching, and a special thanks to my patrons. You guys are heroes. Check out this next video, it's the best. Anyway, see you guys next time. Bye.